I'm Basia Sokolowska and I'm taking you through my creative alphabet. H stands for Holy Isle. Here are some stones from this island which I drew, but this is really not something I want to talk about today. Holy Isle is a very special place on the map of my travels, and I've traveled around the world quite extensively and seen many different places. Some of them were much more spectacular and kind of interesting than Holy Isle, but Holy Isle is a very special place in a way that it really very deeply resonated with me, and still does, even though it's been a few years that I was there for the last time. Holy Isle is a small island of the east coast of Scotland, and it's not a place where you can get very easily. You can fly to Glasgow, but then you have to take a train, and then you have to take a ferry to another island, and then you have to take a bus, and then you have to take a ferry, a Holy Isle ferry, which is really a small boat, and the service runs a few times a day, depending on the weather, and it's you're taken across the Lamlash Bay by Tom or Jim. So it's actually quite a staged journey from the big sort of busy airport environment. You take a train, and as you proceed and you actually embark on different stages of the journey, they get smaller and quieter, and the landscape changes, and there are fewer people until you get to the island on a small boat, and then you're on a completely different mindset than you were when you left your life to get there. All the busyness, all the tasks, all the fast pace of things we do and things we see, and sort of a big commotion that our mind is really sort of completely immersed in, it all disappeared. And it's quite interesting that all people, it happens to a lot of people, pretty much all people who actually get to Holy Isle, arrive at that kind of calm and detached mindset, removed from their lives that they left behind. The island is a very quiet place. There is not much there. There are three types of wild animals roaming around the island. There are cantankerous wild horses and spectacular white goats and not so spectacular but very numerous brown sheep. They are all over the islands, but people can access only half of the island. The other is just for the animals. There is only one really building on the island where you could stay, and it's a Buddhist retreat center which provides accommodation and courses. Now, there are all kinds of courses: meditation, Tai Chi, mindfulness. I did a lucid dreaming course on one of my stays on the island, which was quite a busy course. You know, you thought like everyone who was going to do that course thought we're going to sleep a lot, and that was true. But sleep was also part of the course, and you got tasks to do. So actually, that course was, as it turned out, 24 hours a day course. So what you do on this island is really live a very simple lifestyle, because there are no attractions there. There is no internet, no range. You can send a text message or receive one, usually when you go to one end of the island called the Red Rock, and the wind is actually blowing in the right direction. So it's a very, very quiet environment with regular meals, vegetarian meals from the garden, which is there on the island, and there's really not much to tell about or other things to do. But somehow you sort of like sink into this place and its atmosphere and its slowness and this kind of goodwill of the people who are there, which is actually quite unusual. That it seems like everyone who arrives on this island from all different parts of the world suddenly functions on the same wavelength. So there is this strange sort of amplified sense of community immersed in calm and silence and goodwill. That was my experience on the island, and every time I left the island I felt very anxious and very sad, because I bonded with this place in a very strong way. I think that's really the value of retreat that I think my time in Holy Island was about, which is the value of opting out from your own environment and from the type of environment where you live, and venturing out into a completely different space and time where you perceive everything around you and yourself quite differently. And it's a place of rest and revelations, new ideas that come out from there, new ways of thinking about yourself, new ways of doing things, and new inspirations. On the way back from the island, on the ferry, that is the big ferry, not the Holy Isle ferry, the ferry that leaves from the Aran Island and takes you closer to Glasgow. I saw the Holy Isle as I was kind of moving away from it, and I made little sort of sketches in my travel notebook, and these sketches later became a foundation for my series of photographs devoted to islands, which I completed 2 years ago, which is quite a few years after I visited Holy Isle for the last time. And I think that I carried through this energy of my stay and my wisdom and my experience of the Holy Isle into these photographs. Well, the atmosphere of and the quality of being in retreat, of being in isolation, and seeing yourself in a completely different way than you see yourself when you are sort of around people and things to do and things to see and things to try.